So whilst I was on holiday last week, I read a book that claimed to give you an extra 7 years extra retirement. Now, given that most people retire at 65 and die at 75, this sounds like a pretty compelling offer to me. The book is by Caroline Paul called Tough Broad, and it's aimed at women, but to be honest, it fits just as well for men. So the central point of the book is that a positive outlook on aging, often cultivated through outdoor pursuits, is likely to increase the length of your life. So specifically, people who view their aging journey with excitement and joy tend to live 7 years longer. And this is how she explains the connection. Nature's calming effects. So natural environments help relax the brain, reduce stress and anxiety, and this can lead to improved brain function and overall well-being. And the next thing she talks about is awe-inspiring experiences. So outdoor activities provide opportunities to experience awe, a feeling of wonder, expansiveness, and this is triggered by the beauty and the vastness of nature. This emotion has been linked to reduced inflammation, decreased depression and anxiety, and also the increased feeling of gratitude and connection to the world. The book explores the benefits of outdoor adventure for individuals in later years, and it combines quite a lot of scientific research with some cultural studies and some personal anecdotes as well, so just to show how engaging nature can improve physical and mental well-being. She actually argues that outdoor activities could be bird watching right through to scuba diving, provide this sense of purpose, community, novelty, and health, which all contribute to a positive view of aging. And she emphasised that these activities, by triggering this sense of awe, can combat the negative effects of life, such as we said, anxiety and depression, and all particularly a narrow perspective on life. She encourages us to embrace the outdoor, no matter what your age or experience. Now, I'm pretty sceptical of these types of books, but I really enjoyed this one, to be honest, and I think it's definitely worth a read. So, the book is called Tough Broad. You'll find it on Amazon, all the other booksellers, if you want to have a little look at it. A lot of positive reviews on there as well, if you want to read through them. What I've also done is I've asked our virtual hosts to have a look at the book and come up with a podcast for you as well. Now, I know a lot of people aren't keen on the podcast, but if not, you can end the video here. If you do like to dive in a bit deeper, then them guys, I think, do quite a good job of summarising what the book's all about. I hope you find the book useful. If you do, have a little look at it anyway, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Ever feel like, adventure is just for every younger people?
Great.
Well, today we're going to deep dive into Caroline Paul's book, Tough Broad, to find out how wrong that is. If you want to stay active and engaged as you age, she thinks outdoor adventure is the way to do it.
It's really interesting how Paul brings together personal stories in this book.
Yeah.
Like, she's got one about an 80-year-old scuba diver.
Wow.
But then she combines that with hard science. It's not just about, nature's nice.
Mm-hmm.
She's really talking about how being outside can actually rewire our brains and how we think about getting older.
Okay, so rewire our brains how? Like, does the book just talk about any positive outlook helping you live longer? Or is it?
It's way more specific than that.
Okay.
And it uses research to back it up, which I really like. A lot of times when we think about having a positive outlook, it's just being optimistic.
Right.
But the studies that she talks about say it's more about challenging how we think about aging. Like, a lot of people think about getting older as all downhill.
Right.
When you can actually change your mindset to believe that aging is about keep growing and all the possibilities, those 7 extra years that you might get aren't magic.
Yeah.
It's really just because you have less stress and inflammation in your body.
Okay, 7 years, that's a really long time. But what does that have to do with being outside specifically? Is it just about being in nature, or is it more about the activities you do?
So that's where the neuroscience comes in.
Okay.
Imagine that your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain that makes decisions,
Okay.
that gets tired, just like a muscle. especially with how much technology we use these days. And studies have shown that nature actually uses different pathways in our brain, which gives that part a rest. So it's not just about being in nature. Being in nature actually creates the right conditions for us to reset and start to have more positive outlook on life.
So I should be picturing my brain like doing yoga in the park or something. But like, is there actual evidence that this happens in real life, or is this just like interesting brain scan stuff?
Now, Paul uses real life examples all the time. Like there's Louise Holey. She's an 80-year-old scuba diver.
Wow.
And you might think, oh, it's easy for someone who's super fit to like getting older. But Louise actually started diving later in life.
Oh, wow.
It just shows you it's never too late to find something you love that changes how you feel about getting older.
Diving at 80, that's amazing. I mean, that really challenges our ideas of what we can do physically as we age, besides probably having really strong lungs.
Yeah.
What's Louise's secret to aging well?
Well, just think about it. To dive at 80, you have to be physically strong.
Right.
You need to be mentally sharp to use all the equipment and deal with whatever happens underwater.
Right.
And you've got to have a community of other divers to do it with. So she's always learning new things about the ocean. She's pushing her physical limits, and she feels like she's a part of something bigger than herself.
It sounds like Louise's story is like a perfect example of how those 5 pillars of healthy aging that Paul talks about actually work. You know, like community and purpose and novelty and health and a positive outlook. It's one thing to read them in a book, but it's another to see them in action.
And what's really cool is that a lot of times those things just kind of happen naturally when you start doing things outside. It's not like you're checking off boxes on a list. It's more like you find something you love doing.
Yeah.
And it just so happens to fit in with those principles.
Right. It's like instead of forcing yourself to eat a salad because you know it's good for you, you find a meal that's both delicious and made with healthy ingredients.
Exactly. And then you want to eat it all the time. That's where Paul brings in this idea of awe.
Okay.
And she says it's super important for aging well.
Okay, so give it to me. I'm picturing something a little more intense than just, you know, liking a pretty sunset.
Think about a time when you were in nature and something really amazed you. Like maybe you were looking up at a sky full of stars, or standing by the ocean and thinking about how big it is.
Yeah.
Or maybe you felt how powerful a thunderstorm is.
Right.
Those things make us feel a sense of wonder, and they make us feel small. And that actually affects our mind and body in a real way.
Okay, so this isn't just some fleeting feeling. There's actual science behind this. Tell me more about how awe is good for us.
Well, studies have found that when people feel awe, it can lower inflammation in their body. It can reduce stress and anxiety. It can even make people feel more compassionate and generous.
Wait, so you're saying if I'm feeling a little bit selfish, I should just go find a mountain to stare at? How does that work?
Well, think about it. Awe helps us get out of our own heads.
Right.
And remember that we are just a tiny part of something much bigger.
Right.
And when we change our perspective like that, it's natural to want to connect with other people and be kind. It's like when you look up at the night sky and you realize how small your problems are.
Yeah, I get that. I'm starting to see how this all fits together. Nature adventure, this feeling of awe. It's not about following some aging checklist. It's about changing how we see ourselves and the world around us.
Yes, and here's something really interesting, Paul, that we actually get better at feeling awe as we age.
Really? I would have thought it would be the opposite. Like, the more we experience in life, the less we'd be surprised by things. So older people are just easy to impress.
No, not quite. It's more like the longer we live, the more we realize how much we don't know. That feeling of mystery and wonder, that desire to be surprised by life, those things can get stronger over time.
That is a really refreshing way to look at it. We always think of getting older as this inevitable decline, but what you're saying is it could be a chance to experience everything more deeply and appreciate it even more.
Exactly. And a big part of that is letting go of all of these anti-awe machines that we have in our lives.
Anti-awe machines. Okay, now you have my attention. What are those?
Just think about how much time we spend glued to our phones and computers. We're constantly bombarded with information, notifications. Everything feels so urgent. Like everything important is happening on this little screen.
And we totally miss out on the real world that's happening all around us.
Right. All those devices make us focus on smaller and smaller things, and they make us feel like we need to be in control all the time. And that's the opposite of awe. When we feel awe, we let go of that need for control. We embrace the unknown, and we allow ourselves to be surprised.
So how do we escape that cycle, especially in a world where it feels like technology is everywhere? I mean, I'm not about to throw my phone away and move to a cabin in the woods, although some days.
No, it doesn't have to be that extreme. It's really just about making little choices throughout our day to create some space for awe. Put your phone down, go outside, let yourself just be present in the moment.
Yeah, I can do that. But for people like me who are new to this whole adventure thing, especially later in life, where do you even start? It's easy to feel like you've missed the boat or like you're not equipped to handle it.
You know, that's a great question. Paul actually tells a really good story about this woman named Lorraine Vaught. When she was in her 60s, she decided to try, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Boogie boarding.
Boogie boarding! Whoa, I did not see that coming. But okay, I'm listening. What happened?
So Lorraine never really thought of herself as an outdoorsy person. But then one day she saw this group of women laughing and having fun riding waves. And it just sparked something in her. So she decided to try it, even though it was out of her comfort zone, and she ended up loving it. And it totally changed her life. And it wasn't just about the boogie boarding itself. It was about her willingness to try something new and embrace something she didn't know.
It's kind of amazing how saying yes to something new can change your whole outlook. What I really like about Lorraine's story is that it doesn't matter how old you are or what skills you have. It's that willingness to be curious, like when we were kids.
Absolutely. And sometimes those things we thought were just for kids when we were younger, they become these amazing ways to find joy and awe as we get older. It's like we've learned not to take ourselves so seriously anymore.
Right. It's like rediscovering that feeling of wonder, but now we've got all this life experience to make it even better.
Exactly. It's not about trying to be young again. It's realizing that getting older comes with a whole new set of opportunities for adventure and growth. And like Paul shows in the book, those experiences can be even more powerful and fulfilling when we embrace them later in life.
This has been so inspiring. But I gotta ask, what about those of us who aren't ready to go boogie boarding or scuba diving? What are some easier ways for us older folks to experience more awe and adventure in our lives?
You know, it could be as simple as changing how you look at things and really paying attention to the everyday beauty around you. Instead of rushing through your day, take a few minutes to appreciate nature. Look at the patterns on a leaf or the colors of the sunset, or listen to the birds singing.
It's like hitting the pause button and just being present in the moment.
Yes. And you don't need any special skills or equipment to do that. Just slow down, look around, and enjoy. Even something as simple as a walk outside can be an adventure if you approach it with a sense of curiosity and wonder.
I love that. So we're not adding more things to our to-do list. We're just changing how we experience the things we're already doing.
Exactly. And just like Caroline Paul tells us, choosing to find more adventure and awe in our lives isn't just good for us mentally and emotionally. It might actually help us live longer, happier lives.
Well said. I know I'm feeling inspired to embrace a little more awe and adventure in my own life. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. And remember, no matter how old you are, there's always an adventure waiting for you.